Hello and welcome to this week's WVD Community podcast. So with us today, we've got a very special guest. We've obviously got our usual Stefan Dingemanse. Hey Stefan, how are you?
Hey Neil, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
All good. And so today we have Ryan Mangan with us. You probably know Ryan. Everyone knows Ryan. He's a very busy boy. So Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. So hi everybody, my name is Ryan Mangan. Most people know me from my blog, Ryan Mangan's IT blog, where I talk about RDS and Windows Virtual Desktop.
Awesome. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
We've got a lot to talk about tonight. So as a bit of an intro, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself? How you got into IT?
Yeah, sure. So as I was saying before, so I started playing around with computers when I was very young, so about 6 onwards, and kind of jumped into 286s, 386s, into when they brought out the first Windows 95 PC. And most people probably remember the first, time you were able to fly the Millennium Falcon on Star Wars. So I had a habit of flipping the back of the switch on the power supply from 230 or 240 to 110 and blowing up my parents' PC. So yeah, I was very popular in the family. And then when I got a little bit older on, I think I was about 9, 10 years old, I started building my own PCs. But moving on, which was quite strange, is I didn't actually start a career in IT. I actually went into the military after jumping between being a chef and a joiner. And then in the military, I was like an infantier, a Royal Engineer, like explosives, bridges, all that good jazz. And then went into telecommunications. And then from there on, I kind of jumped into where I am today. So I've had quite a very diverse career, I'd say, from non-technical to then all the way into networking and things.
Cool. So how long did you spend in the military then?
I'd say 7, 8 years roughly. It was, I probably would have still been in today if they didn't decide to move everybody to RAF Kinloss at the top of Scotland, because obviously I just bought a house, had a girlfriend, and it was just like a game over for me. I was like, I can't. It's like 12 hours to drive down from there.
Yeah.
If it snows, you best ski down, So, but yeah, that was sad. Really, I was posted in Germany for 4 years, to the place which most people know from the Pied Piper story, Hamelin, and that was probably one of the highlights of my career, where I spent a lot of time, doing things and activities in Germany and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Interesting. So do you reckon? So I do actually know quite a few people who've made that jump from the military into sort of IT. And one thing which I've noticed throughout those, everyone I know who's done that, when you speak to them, they've always been pretty kind of successful because they're very disciplined. Would you say, is that kind of a cross skill that you gain from being in the military? As in, do you still like shine your shoes and make your bed each morning, and you super organized?
Wake up at 4.
Wake up at 4, go for a run.
There is some of that, yeah. My wife thinks I'm mad some of the times, so it's like the precise, it's very very process driven, regimented. So I think that's probably why people do very well, because IT, the best of IT is process driven. But I do some strange things. I have to iron my shirts a certain way. I have to fold, we go out for dinner and people are like, why have you rolled your shirt sleeves up that way? I was like, I've always done it like that way. Why have you put creases in your jeans, Ryan? That sort of thing. It's just one of those things. Like shorts, you get your summer shorts on, everybody's there walking around, and I've got these like pleated, iron creases in there. Like, what's wrong with you? So, but it's a military way, unfortunately.
Cool. And I also understand that, congratulations, in order. You have a new job title. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm now the CTO for AppCure. So I'm working quite closely now with helping organizations transition from the phrase legacy is probably the wrong term for legacy apps, because if an application can eventually run on Windows 10, is it legacy? So it's moving applications from older operating systems to Windows 10 and WVD. So so originally I was working, testing the products, loads of good stuff with the guys, Steve and Nigel, and then obviously helped write some of the studio stuff where we were kind of helping people get into the MSIX and package to any type of format. But yeah, it's a really exciting time. We've got some really good kind of technology to help businesses move forward with their lives and not sit on older operating systems, right?
So about the app here. Can you tell us about something more about it?
Yeah.
What kind of application is it, or the solution?
Yeah, so there's two components to it. We've got the application capture and install, and then the second part is we've got the AppCure Studio. So the application capture and install technology, basically, you know, most people, when you ask them what application you've got in your environment, not many people know. They're like, I think we have this, we think we have that. Let's go do an MDOP assessment, or let's go and pull out some application asset logs. But they don't fully understand what they've got in their environment. And then when they do realize what they've got, some, and we'll use the word some because not everybody's the same, they have no installation media for them applications. So that's one challenge. Where with AppCure, we don't need installation media. We just basically take the application off the old existing WinRot device and then package that ready for you to use on the other side. And that could be single for a laptop, or that could be to thousands of desktops, or in most cases WVD or Citrix or VMware. So it's agnostic in terms of who we kind of work with and support, but we can literally take any application, or the majority of, 99% of applications off old onto new. Naturally, there is challenges along the way with certain applications, how they've been written, and it requires some technical services to fix that. But, you know, the majority of applications move swiftly. We're currently working around about 60% of applications to lift naturally, organically from one to the other. And we're working towards, in the background, getting that to 70, 80%, and hopefully even higher in the near future.
Cool. And those applications are being like converted to MSIX or another format?
Yeah, so initially the output was into a file folder, which you could do what you want with, and then into MSIX. But we're doing at the moment, we're not really, we're actually educating a lot of people on MSIX as a technology. A lot of people don't know what MSIX is. So a lot of what we do, a lot of presentations we've been delivering is more of like a free consultation, I would say, on what MSIX is and how it can improve the organization and the benefits associated. So we don't just package into MSIX, we can go into an MSI, we can convert AppV into MSIX. We can also, you know, do a self-extracting portable application. So if you wanted, you know, like you can download these portable tools, like, I don't know, like an IP scanner, you can basically package it and self-extract, which runs in a temp folder. And when you finish with it, you close the app and it removes it out of the temp folder. Which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, constructing application. It's the first time I heard of it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's really cool stuff. And the thing I really like about MSIX, and I didn't realize at first, is you can encrypt them. So, you know, when you transfer an applications from one location to another over digital media or on a USB stick, you can now encrypt them. So you can ensure the integrity and the safety of that application until it gets to the other side, which I don't believe, you know, was like natively available out of the box previously, but now it is, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah, with the up and coming release of the sort of native portal integration for App Attach, I'm envisioning it's going to be hugely popular.
Yeah.
So I think your company services will be very much in demand.
Well, I hope so. we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, and we're going to talk about that today, right? Which will be cool.
Yep, we will do. Also, I understand you've got a book that you've recently written as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I worked in collaboration with Microsoft on a quick start guide to Windows Virtual Desktop. So obviously with Windows Virtual Desktop was also known as RDMI previously, when it was like an internal trial, which they worked on to deliver as a service. So I've always been a big fan of RDS and trying to build Microsoft native remote desktop services. It dates back to when I had major problems with Citrix, what was it now? Was it Citrix presentation server?
Presentation server.
It was at the end of its life, it just did not want to work. So I had to come up with a solution. And obviously, ever since then, it was RDS. And then when they brought out a simplified RDS, a stable RDS, as in its form of Windows Virtual Desktop, as we'll call it, it's brilliant. Anyway, so I worked with Microsoft on creating the quick start and trying to basically bring all of what you need to do into a nice, simple guide to kind of progress forward. And I'm not going to take all the credit for it because obviously I wrote the book, but there was Frick Birdson involved, and Frick as well. Christian Brinkoff was involved, and Stefan Giorgio, and then obviously Stephanie, who is the marketing expert guru who runs all of this good stuff. So without them guys, the book wouldn't have happened. And what's really cool as well is Microsoft obviously is giving this out as a free content to the community. So you can't get better than obviously free content which tells you exactly what to do.
Wow, it's awesome.
Is it your first book, Ryan, that you wrote, or?
So it's my first official Microsoft book. I've done articles and things, and I've worked with other vendors on things in the past, but this is my first. And the second book, which I'll talk about later on, I won't ruin it yet, is hopefully coming before Christmas and around some of the topics we're doing. And well, I can't say off the record because this is recorded, but there might be another one coming as well in the new year, which I've been asked to do. So, and that's not with Microsoft, that's with someone else. So we'll see what happens.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I know. I need to spend more time with my family, but yeah, I've just got to balance it carefully, right?
that's the thing, because at the moment, I mean, when you look at the stuff that's going on, it's just insane. Trying to keep up with everything is so difficult. Yeah,
and I think like COVID, I think COVID's really kind of made us all jumpstart into overdrive in the sense of people's ambitions for remote access, remote working, the way Teams has changed, the way people have adopted WVD at an accelerated rate, where people are moving from on-premise Citrix into WVD, Citrix type and VMware solutions. It's definitely kind of made us all work a little bit harder, right?
It has, yeah. I think some of it as well, I know definitely the case for me, is because you've got more time at home, you've got more time to sort of look into this stuff, and maybe that stuff's always been there, but you've never seen it before because you've never had the time, because you've been sat in an office from 9 till 5 and then traveling and stuff. And I guess only until you step back, till you've got that spare time, you realize how much is going on, maybe.
Yeah, and you also, the thing as well, where you're commuting to work, that's wasted time. Whereas when you work at home, you get that time back, don't you? Yeah. And that gives you that. And yeah, I'm the same, but I'm having to kind of, set alarms and make sure I spend time with little family as well, just to make sure. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. So they say that writing a book's one of the most difficult things that you can do. Is that true?
So again, it's process, right? Military coming in there. You need a plan, and you need to understand that what you want to achieve out of that. So if I ever could give any advice for writing a book, is first of all, put together in Excel a nice simple list of the areas you want to write something, and then just be yourself. Don't try and do something different. Try and just write what you think, what comes to your mind, just put onto paper, because when you put something on paper, it can be changed into many different things. And usually the first attempt's always the best attempt in my view, to kind of put something out there. And then obviously, people are editors and all the rest of them going through and format it and lay it how they want to see it and how the reader should see it, all that kind of fancy stuff they come out with. Just be yourself, make sure you've got a nice clear plan. And then also, if in doubt, ask a friend what they think, because you can't get a more honest opinion. So my older brother, he works as a SharePoint developer for Freshfields. Obviously, you can work out the surname, but not his first name, because he probably wouldn't have wanted a shout out. But he helped me. Obviously, he read through the book and he was just like, "Wow, this is really, really good." But what was cool about the book is we started off, with 150 pages or something stupid, and thinned it down to 90. And then Microsoft said, "Oh yeah, it's like the ultimate guide. We need to kind of get them as a quick start first, and then take it from there." Yeah. So I think I went a little bit OTT at first, if I'm honest. But there you go. Hey, what can I say?
Well, maybe you should write another one called the WVD Ultimate Guide.
Possibly. Well, let's find out. Anyway, let's just we'll see what happens in the new year, right?
Cool. So obviously you've been in, because when I first started getting into WVD, I actually looked at a lot of your blogs. So as you mentioned before, you've been involved with it quite a while. So, I mean, what is your background? Are you like a developer, consultant, architect, freelance, work for somebody? What do you do?
So I started off obviously outside the military as an IT manager, IT director in education. So I was very fortunate to have that sheer amount of problems and challenges and desktop to manage, under no budget, because that's basically everybody in education nodding, going, yeah, no budget, all pain and problems, you know. And then when you get your, you know, your professional services companies going, you know, oh, well, we can give you a solution for X amount. I think they don't actually realize that there's no X amount there to spend, right? It's gone, you know, it's just one of those things. So that was a real big kind of wake up and smell the fresh air, Ryan, you know, and that basically helped me. I was one of the first people to produce in education RDS 2012. So in 2000 and I think it was 2012, Microsoft did an educational blog where we basically took £180,000 VMware deployment for VMware Horizon into an RDS deployment, which was in the end about 40K. So we basically delivered the same output using SSD chassis. You had a very basic type of WVD, which replaced the Citrix presentation server, which was falling on its knees. So that was the first big step, and obviously that was quite a big one. Then I did everything I could do for the group of colleges at the time, and decided that I'd set out and do something different, and decided to open up a professional services company where I'd basically give my time to solve IT challenges. You know, so I started doing that, and then the problem was people started saying to me, Ryan, we don't just want your help, we want the equipment, we want you to do the full solution, full wraparound. And then from that, in the background, Systech was formed. So Systech IT Solutions was, you know, is a gold partner of Microsoft now, who specializes in end user computing. But we're not just a reseller. We actually do more work with vendors and distributors. We've got contracts where we assist, you know, the actual reseller of a project, because as you know, technical staff is quite an expensive ordeal. So we kind of minimize that pain point for a lot of other organizations and filling the gap. So yeah, one of our big things is solving complex problems. Some of our claims to fame might be like the 5th Edinburgh Bridge. We helped design the systems which house the monitoring for the bridges, panels, all that kind of good stuff. There's all sorts of really crazy projects we've worked on over the years, and it's been real good fun. And then obviously in the background as well, I have other interests in things like telecoms as well. So like we can deploy, we've got another company called Hull Telecoms, which deploys phone systems in 15 minutes. So it gets rid of all the pain point. You need a telephone system, you can get it all connected with an ISP and all the rest of it with your call minutes, everything in 15, 20 minutes. And then obviously the only limitation you've got is that BT service where you've got to wait 30 days to port your numbers. So yeah, it's quite a lot of things I've been doing in the background over the years, which have made it really, really crazy and exciting. And you mentioned about development. So I started off as a network engineer, moved into Windows Server technologies and desktop technologies, and then moved into development last. And it was quite a hard journey to go into development, because if you've never done it before, there's a lot of maths, a lot of calculations, and it's quite a bit of a shock to the system. People, you know, well, it was for me. But I strongly recommend it, because when you get into it and start building your own solutions, it's real good fun. And if I could ever say to anybody, how do you start? Where do you start? Start with PowerShell, because that's the fundamentals, right?
So last question, when do you sleep?
Well, yeah, that's my wife says that, you know. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I have had times where, you know, you're up to, you know, well, it's IT, isn't it? You know, the phrase in the military is you sleep when you're dead. But but to be honest, some days it's good, some days it's bad. So you just got to manage your time really, and kind of carve up that time for family. But yeah, but it's all fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're CTO, developer, company owner, consultant, and telecoms person as well.
Yeah, I've had quite a few. Yeah, I've done quite a lot, and I think I need to thin a bit of it out. But there you go. Yeah, too much.
Yeah, well, there's never too much. It's well, it's a good thing about working IT. If you enjoy it, it's so much fun, right? Because there's so much to do all the time.
Yeah, I think it's the I'm distracting all of my weird ex-military obsessions. I'm trying to hide them in IT, you know, somewhere. So there you go. Rather than ironing shirts at 3 in the morning, I'm building web servers, you know. So
I think it's time to start with some MSIX stuff.
Yeah, cool. So I've got a presentation for you all today. I'm just going to run through that, and some real cool stuff in there for you. So I'm just going to flip that over now and get ready. So I just need to share my screen, don't I?
Yeah. So for those people who are listening to the podcast, we also publish our podcast onto YouTube. So we'll give you the link so you can have it to YouTube, just so you can see what Ryan's presenting.
So I just need access to share my screen, I think. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not giving you that. Can you not share it?
I'm banned. It says hosting disabled by participants sharing.
Okay. I'm going to make you a host. Don't do anything bad. Ready?
I'll try not
to. We're just fixing it live, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, Ryan, you are now the host.
Okay, so let me just flick over to the PowerPoint and do my screen. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Is it the right way around?
Yes.
Yes.
On my screen, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's always doing it backwards. That's a challenge, isn't it? Right.
It's all
okay. Yeah. So basically, what I've got for you guys today is just and this is for Stefan Giorgio, as he likes this. This is the correct terminology, everybody. A dynamic application delivery. So today I'm going to do a sneak peek into the future of what I perceive of dynamic application delivery and where this takes us in terms of IT professionals and for businesses who are looking at having a more flexible application delivery strategy. So with the acquisition of FS Logic, which is great because that's allowed you to detach that that profile, then obviously now we're going to be moving into the application fabric and obviously being able to kind of piece together what we want, when we want it, and how we want it. So before we start, obviously, so if people don't know who I am, so I've been in the IT industry for some time. I've worked on small deployments from, I don't know, 20, 30 users all the way up to the 30,000 users. I've been a VE expert for 7 years. I've also been a Parallels, and I am a Parallels VIPP 1920. They're a really interesting technology to watch out, guys, for. You know, they've grown a significant market share over the last couple of years with some of the really cool innovation they've been doing. I know, Neil, that you're a big fan of Login VSI as well, so I'm also a Login VSI advocate. And I'm not going to go and read the list out because we'll be here all year, unfortunately. So, but yeah, so this is some of my kind of community stuff I've been working on over the years, and I hopefully wish to continue doing that in the years to come. So that's my kind of experience there. But obviously what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about MSIX App Attach. So I think it's only fair that we first talk about an MSIX. So you guys, obviously were on the previous WVD Community video, a live demonstration at the time. If you haven't, you've probably seen the video. But we showed about MSIX and then obviously MSIX App Attach. So an MSIX is effectively, if you look at an app V package, similar, is basically a group of application files and then some kind of configuration files in there, like an app manifest, a block map, signature, and then code integrity stuff. And effectively what we're doing is we're taking the application and containerizing it into like a nice little parcel. Believe it or not, you can take the file extension in MSIX and change it to a .zip because it's just a zip. But obviously when you're running MSIXs, it's looking for all of them key components within that folder. If they're not there, it won't run. So when we're looking at MSIX App Attach, we need to get to this stage first. So we need to basically go and get our application packages. And how you can get them is if you want to go to the Microsoft Store, you can download your applications from the store offline. So you can install them directly, which will just install them into your Windows app folder, or you can download them offline and through the business store, you can change it to offline mode and download them. So like, obviously when I was using Tim Mangan's tooling and stuff, he's got pictures of Tim Mangan's face everywhere. So no offense, Tim, but I didn't want your face appearing every time you open the start menu. So I modified the image just to a basic image. So things like that. But anyway, so yeah, so that's an MSIX, and that's basically just a container with application data in that. And obviously an eMSIX is an encrypted version as well, just if you didn't know what the terminology was. So moving on to MSIX App Attach. So first of all, I'm going to walk you through some of the kind of components associated with that. So first of all, we're going to look at traditional app delivery, and that could be on a normal PC, it could be VDI, or it could be desktop as a service or WVD and things like that. So basically, as you can see, you'll have a user profile, common applications, and then you'll install them applications. That could be on an image or that could be directly on the PC. Hopefully in larger organizations, you don't have people building custom desktops and installing apps manually, because that is prone to human error. So if we're looking at the images here, you can see we've got a sales image, a finance image, and a technical image. And them each images have their own applications, so specific for them. So this is great, but the challenge you've got with that is you've got to modify the master image of 3 images there. So we've got to maintain 3 images. We need to update the common applications, update the operating system, if as you know, then update the applications as well. So that, you know, is not just 3 images to maintain. You've actually got what, 3, 6, 9, 12 potential different kind of components to go through and kind of process, which is painful, right? There's a significant challenge. You guys have seen this yourselves in industry? Is this something you've come across, them horrible pain points?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know about you, Stefan, but image management and applications are definitely the #1 pain points for problems when you go to the deployment. Infrastructure is easy. Anyone can deploy infrastructure, but when it comes to images and applications, that's when project timelines and complexities and things not working and all that stuff. But
and especially with multiple images.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I've worked on projects, the ones that are always the worst projects are the ones where they haven't thought about the applications. I've seen it time and time again where the applications always come last. But in theory, the applications should be the first things to look at, right?
Yeah, are the most important ones.
Yeah, because, you know, a computer with Word and Notepad are not really going to help you, are they, really? Yeah, it's pretty much useless unless you want to write documents all day. Anyway, so moving on then. So dynamic application delivery. So this diagram you can see here has a number of things. You can see that you've got the user profile, which is there in black, which is the FS Logic user profile attaching to the image. So that's now taken away from the desktop, because one of the previous challenges people had, they didn't use UPDs, which were always a problem anyway. They kept breaking. You'd have a local, and the problem you had with that is if you have like 400 people log in over a period of time, for example, let's say you had Teams, your disk is going to fill up with no space left, and that was one of the challenges when people didn't use, you know, detached user profiles. And obviously with the acquisition of FS Logic, by using the kind of filter driver, that basically allows you to kind of redirect, as we'll call it, or trick the system to know that your profile is somewhere else. So this is great because that takes that from the operating system, and that solves the first challenge. Then people see that, do you want all applications on an image, or do you want some applications on an image, or should they all attach when the user logs on? So question to you guys, do you think there should be some common applications on there, or do you think that they should be all attachable?
I think most of them must be attachable, but I think you will always have some applications in your image, like Office, for example.
Correct. Yeah. So the challenge you've got with attaching apps is obviously there's like a bandwidth. There's the data to come across to attach them. So if every image has, all your business has Office, for example, you wouldn't attach that because that's quite a large attach anyway. But you would ensure that the common set of applications are on that image. And obviously, when you're doing the image maintenance, you still manage that application. However, if you have you know, applications which are dependent for, you know, specific users like sales, then obviously you will want them to attach. So, and as you can see from this here, it's showing you the user profile, the common apps which are sat on the image, and then obviously, for example, finance has got app 1 and 2. So today you can use things like app masking and hide apps from different departments. So you wouldn't want sales trying to log into the finance and things like that, so you can app mask, but that doesn't solve the problem. That just hides the problem. The apps are still there. So, and also, you know, it's not clean, it's not simple. You could have one single image here and you could basically attach all your applications, all your departmental applications when required. So the concept here is basically you have an image with core applications installed like Microsoft Office, like you would do with a WVD template pre-provisioned in Azure, right? So when you want to try WVD today, it's already on there installed for you. Apart from, I think the original one had 30 days of shared, was it your profile for Outlook. Remember that? And it got so many people. It was like the biggest gotcha. Yeah, there's that many tickets raised with like distributors and people like saying, "Oh, after 30 days, I can't browse my mail and all this," and it's because the default setup was registry rather than group policy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, this is the idea. And then if you look at the second part here, we've got MSIX App Attach, and these are the apps which are attaching. And we're going to talk about some kind of perceived best practice as well as we go through this process. So MSIX App Attach formats. So today, a lot of people have spoke about VHD. Now I'm thinking, well, where's VHDX, everybody? So that is supported and that can be done. So they're the two disk formats. And then you'll see in the right-hand side, we've got CIM, which is a composite file system, which you're probably familiar with or aware of. And that's new to Microsoft on the 2004 release, and we'll talk about that shortly. So what we're doing with the MSIX is we're putting the MSIXs into a disk, and then we're basically mounting them on user logon or on demand when the user wants them on demand, and that basically presents the application to the user in question. Today, people are using scripts, and some of the kind of feedback from using scripts is it's not always doesn't always work, but I also don't recommend it. But there's, it's for testing. Obviously, Microsoft have introduced in the preview, which should be out soon, and then in November the release. I don't know. Is it Neil? Is it preview or is it a general release from the portal?
Preview, I think.
It's preview, yeah. So that's been released in November, which is great, and that will allow you to basically automatically deliver their maps to the users. And also Nerdio are already doing this as well. They've come up with a solution to allow you to kind of attach your virtual disks today. No one is doing CIM yet, but we'll talk about that shortly. Is everybody happy with that? Any questions from the Guru team?
I'm very curious to hear your story about CIM. So
cool.
Let's continue.
Okay, then we're getting there. So looking at MSIX App Attach. So first of all, what happens is we have the users profile connect, and that's talking to a file share. So that could be just like an Azure IaaS virtual machine. That could be Azure files. That could be NetApp files. It could be scale out within Azure as well. So it doesn't really matter. It's however you've decided to deploy your infrastructure. And then once the user profile is attached, you then got the apps. So specific to them users, then the apps will be attached to the host pool of users. That's fairly straightforward, and it's not too complicated to kind of work out. Considerations for that with user profile is IOPS, right? So you need to make sure that you've got enough IOPS on the storage to deliver them user profile disks, and that is the same for MSIX App Attach. If you're not, you need to size. So one of the ways you can do this, and I'll show you in the demo, is you need to be looking at Task Manager and things and trying to understand what IOPS the applications are using. For example, if you've got Teams running 10,000 times and that's using 11 meg, at the time of use 11 meg each, then that's obviously quite a big, demand. So it's important that you understand what kind of read write is going on with that application in question. Also, that's why you need speed. So today, how is MSIX App Attach delivered? As we said, WVD portal plus CIM, and I'll talk about that in a minute, November. So then you've got scripts, which I recommend for testing. You should always test as well, because you don't want to get to the WVD portal and spend all that time packaging apps, right? And then after spending 4 weeks and then try and run it, it doesn't work. That'd be absolutely devastating. So make sure you use the scripts to test, right? And then Nerdio, as you can see there, they've got the ability to do that for their system now. And then maybe people don't know, but also AppVentix as well. AppVentix, which used to be specific on the AppV stuff, now supports MSIX and then App Attach as well. So if you want to deliver MSIX App Attach, check out them guys. Pretty good, looks pretty good to me. And there's also a community version as well. So, yeah, the one everybody's itching and seems to understand more about. So the composite file system. So this is where we're going to talk about the composite file system. So this is what Microsoft do. They dangle a carrot, don't they? They say, hey, everybody, check out our glossary. We're going to mention CIM. And then you're like, oh, so it's a new file system. And then you're like, well, that's great. This looks amazing. When can I try it? And there's no more information there whatsoever. Absolutely nothing.
It's all the information on the docs.
You look out the window, there's a tumbleweed, and that is it. So you're like, oh, brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so hopefully today I can shine some light on it, because I've obviously developed some stuff as well, which I'll be talking about. So looking at this here, from the MSIX App Attach glossary in the documents from Microsoft, which I have to say, you know, they're consistently working on and continually improving, which is great for obviously the customer base out there and user base. But as you can see here, that the VHD mounting time is 356 milliseconds, whereas the proposed CimFS solution offers 255. So there is an increase there of nearly a decrease of 99 to 100 milliseconds, which is great, yeah. But what really cool is the unmounting as well. So obviously logging off, they've taken the VHD of 1,615 milliseconds down to 36 on their testing. Interestingly enough as well, memory consumption is down as well. Obviously memory consumption just looking like, wow, you've shaved 4%. But obviously when you're looking at, you know, multi-session WVD, that's pretty, you know, big for multiple people using it, right? Yeah. So, you know, that's great stuff. Okay, so everybody's like, we just get on to the next slide, Ryan. I really want to see what's going on here. Okay, so what is this new system? So a SIM, as it says in the text, is basically a file-backed image. So similar to a WIM or a read-only VHD. So it consists of a number of files, and I'm going to go through this in detail in a minute. But effectively, they were basically designed to be used as like a container image layout. They basically consist of a number of multiple files, but then obviously kind of combine when they're mounted and share like a regional backup file, and I'll show you that as well. The other thing is, because it's like a flat file type of technology, you know, it supports deduplication, and also it offers the same type of constructors for NTFS, like the security descriptors and hard links repassing and all that kind of stuff. So it does offer very similar kind of offerings to like a normal a virtual disk or a typical file system. And obviously you can have multiple volumes, you can have single volume, read only. You can't edit it once it's mounted, you can't edit it. It is created. Once it's created, that is it. It is done, which is great for evergreen, because if you're evergreening, you can basically release a new version and replace the old, and no one can modify that. So there's, if you think about it, by having full read-only control, that gives you a bit of a lock-in. So, and obviously our previous, the WVD community, where we spoke about apps to digital, and then there's also a product called Application Readiness, where they can basically read all the files and check for malware, as well as updates and things like that, and things missing from the operating system. All this stuff kind of interlinks quite nicely. And obviously, it's just basically a SIM is a collection of files which are flat. It consists of object files, it consists of region files, and then obviously the SIM metadata as well, which you will see in a minute. Okay, before you can play with SIM, you need to know some basic ground rules. You need to make sure you're on the correct version. So you need to make sure you're on the build 2004. If you're not on 2004 and you go to System32 folder and search for the CimFS DLL, it will not exist if it's not on the new version. If you are on 2004, as you can see from screenshot 2, it exists. So if you want to make sure that your system supports using CimFS, you can do that by just going to System32 and searching for the CimFS.dll. If you didn't know that, you do now.
Was this created specifically for MSIX App Attach then, or is it a new file format used for other use cases? For?
So I don't know. This is all, this is my investigation work. I should be a detective. But also, obviously, I've had to write the software, so I've learned quite a lot through my journey in testing. So yeah, but the CimFS system, and obviously Microsoft haven't really given me anything yet, but hopefully they will in the future. You know, please everybody, just share some more information. Anyway, so that's how you can identify whether you've got CimFS on your image. If you've got a VM, make sure you build 2004 build. As you can see there, I'm using the 10.0.1904.508 build, and that seems to work fine for me. Cool. So everybody's there in background now Googling, going, if I got this in the search, yeah. Cool. So this is what a SIM looks like. And yeah, this is an example of Yandex, and this is for Steve, because he's got an infatuation of doing a demo of Yandex on packaging apps. So yeah, so this is a SIM. Ignore the text file. That's something I just generated for my own personal benefit. But you can see here, there's a number of object files and a number of region files. And in the region files, they actually, one of them is quite large, which is the actual Yandex data. So as you can see, all of this stuff kind of brings it together. And the .sim is the metadata, what brings it all together on the mount. And obviously
so just before you know, Stefan, Yandex is a Russian browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty fast as well when you load it through Sim. So yeah, so that's what a Sim image looks like. And then obviously I just thought, well, let's have a look. And as you can see in there, I've just opened up the in a text file, and it says Sim file there, and you can see lots of metadata in there as well in a region file. So yeah, it is what it says on the tin. It's basically flat file system using metadata and all other jazz to kind of come together as a file. So there you go. That is what Unix looks like. Yes, there's loads of files, and it probably sits in a folder. But do you know what's really interesting? Do you know if you've done much with VMware and things? They have like flat file type of technology as well. So, when you've got like 5 or 6 files, people say, oh, I just want one file. Well, other vendors already out there have similar types of technology. So, we just have to live with it, I suppose. But yeah, it looks great. And when you see the performance of it, you'll be impressed.
So
okay,
instead of the VHD file or the VHX file, you got your SIM file with all those separated files.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Hawkeye, I told you being a detective, I should have got a hat really, and a magnifying glass. But basically, when they announced that they can now do MSIX App Attach through the portal, the preview in November, I clocked that they had a Windows travel package, which is a test package they have, I think, and you can see it's .sim. So they're already testing SIM, I believe. This is all public knowledge, by the way. I'm not using anything which isn't public knowledge. So yeah, it's cool, right? So there is potential. I don't know if I'm right today, but we'll find out whether you could introduce SIM in preview with the preview of the adding MSIX packages through WVD.
Cool.
Cool, isn't it? Right. And so I've got a demo if it all went wrong here, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a live demo because they're always the best, right? So I've got just in case here, the lifeline. But obviously, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to flip over to the tech demo, and then obviously we'll have some fun. So ignore the activate. This is a lab. I don't know why it's doing that, but there you go. And I'll talk about this in a minute. But what I've got to you today is, so I've got in here I've got the Z drive, and I've got Pinball, which is I'm going to talk about that as well, which will be available to people to play with. So I'm just going to tidy up in here. So this is a SIM file, everybody. Can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm just going to copy that and paste that onto the root here. Because bear in mind, SIM isn't designed for at this stage, from my understanding, I don't believe it's designed to be run everywhere at the moment. So when we run this and testing, we have to run it at the root level of the drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to mount this at the root level, and it should work. So what's cool as well is I've actually wrote a tool called the SimUtil, which effectively basically allows you to mount and unmount SIMs. And obviously I'll talk about this after we've got through the demo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the SIM. So I've just mounted the SIM from that drive path. I'm going to open up a new file explorer. And what we're going to see under the PC is we're going to see a SIM with no bytes free. And it says CimFS, and I've put a drive letter to it. So you guys can tell this is a read. This is like a WIM image, right? It's read only. So you wouldn't expect it to have a storage, right? Because there's nothing there. But when I open this up and go into it, it's what you'd expect for MSIX. Yeah, there's no. It looks exactly the same as others. And if I click on properties, you'll note that it's still got security descriptors and things in there as well. So that is rocking and rolling and working. So just so you know, I'm not blowing smoke or coming up with magic. Type my app. As you can see, nothing's installed, and then I'm just going to go to apps and just make sure that there's no my app installed. Yeah, so nothing's installed. I'm just double check as well. Pinball. So nothing's installed on this PC today, right? So what I've got now is it created a volume ID when I mounted this SIM. Okay. And by the way, this is what we're doing today is the first. To my knowledge, so this today, guys, is to the WVD community. We're doing this as a first to the industry.
World exclusive.
It is. It's a world exclusive. Hopefully, no, it's a second, just in case, right? Anyway, So I've taken that ID, and do you know we did the script previously for testing, VHDs and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the script again, and this time the actual VHD is not required. So we're going to leave that blank, and we're just going to put the GUID in here, yeah? Because we've now taken that from the mount tool, and we're going to save that. And then what we're going to do, just for the fun of it, is we're going to go and go to PowerShell and then mount this. And also, what I've put on, and I'll talk about it again in a bit in the GitHub, is I've got this pinball is free. So we'll set a challenge, I think, at the end of this and see how many people can come back with pinball working as sim and show us a screenshot, right? We'll do something cool. Yeah. And by the way, anybody out there, I apologize for basically reducing workforce time because everybody's going to be playing pinball. So I'm just going to go and take scripts now and just mount them. Okay, so cool. So obviously, I've made a config file. This is reading from a config file here. As you can see, we're doing a sim test. So the first thing I'm going to do is stage. So as you'd expect, you'd want it to stage, and it's now staged. And then, so if we go to C drive and we go to temp, it should have created me an app attach, and there you go, pinball's there. So that's worked. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to register that application. So now my app is there. So that is now an application attached using CimFS. So that's MSIX using Sim. What we're going to do now is stand by, strap yourselves in. Look how fast that is. And then we'll just go again. And this is just a very basic lab PC. That's pretty good, right? Anyway, so we'll throw the gauntlet down and we'll talk about this in a minute. But basically, it'd be great if we could get some kind of community feedback on this, showing, being able to kind of get pinball on the go. Also, dangle the carrot. If you want to play pinball, you've got to mount a sim, right? Anyway, cool. So then I'm going to go through this step of deregister the application. So again, as you can see, it's there. I'll just deregister the app, and that's gone. And then what I'm going to do is then destage that, and then go back to the file, go to the temp just to make sure it's all gone. And there you go, done. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I'm then going to unmount the sim. So I'm just going to take that there. And so M for mount, D for dismount, couldn't be any clearer really. And there you go. So that's now CimFS off. And if I open up a file explorer now, you'll see we just got the C and Z drive there, yeah?
Okay. Yep.
And then obviously, because we've got time to play, I'm just going to then go do Yandex, just because I know Steve will be, very disappointed.
Show that Russian browser.
Yeah, we've got to do this, right? I've called that image.
But these stages of the app attach are the same when using Sim.
Yeah, the process for running app attach is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Microsoft have automated this for their system, and I know Nerdio have worked towards, delivering the virtual disk version of this as well. Cool. So I'm just going to go and do the config file again, just to make sure that this is set. But because obviously we mounted it, we just need to make sure we get the... you have to close the file explorer because it didn't show up at the first time. Then we've got Yandex. The thing is, you can't copy and paste the name. That's the annoying thing. You can't get that. I've got to type it, which is going to be a pain. But we're going to type it just because we can. I think someone's trying to communicate with us.
It's my phone.
You almost forgot it's a podcast, Neil.
I know.
It's way too quiet when he's doing this.
All the suspense. It's like everybody's like, "Well, get on with it, Ryan."
So Ryan is now very concentrated and trying to fill in the package name.
Stefan just wants to see the Russian browser.
Yeah.
Right.
I never heard of it, so.
I think I've got it right. So if not, we'll try again in a minute. So I've mounted that, and we'll go back to staging scripts again, and we're just going to stage that, and it should not error. And it errored. What a devastation. Okay, we'll just do it this way.
And this kid's his way to do live demos.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, live demos are bad, right? Very bad. But I think actually, well presented, Neil. We do have Yandex on here, I think. So let me just see if I can just speed up to it because that'll be quicker, right? Oh, yes, we do. Here we go.
Oh, everything is going to be all right.
Don't panic. The the recorded session works. And there's Yandex.
There's Yandex.
That's it.
Yeah. And you can see as well, it's fast, right? It's very snappy.
Yeah.
And just for the fun of it.
So obviously when all the portal integration comes, all the sort of scripts that you have to run now, you don't have to do that anymore, right? That's all just native.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, though, you don't have to do it on a WVD device. And if you think about it, or wherever else, using the scripts are great for testing these applications when you're packaging them. So, my recommendation is to ensure that you make sure these apps are working, because you don't want to get to the other side and they don't work. It'll be a travesty. So use the scripts to kind of test. Obviously, MSIX App Attach can work on any device. As you saw, these are not WVD devices. So there is potential scope for this to possibly kind of be rolled out in a bigger form. So things like, Endpoint Manager, which I love and think's great, you can already deploy MSIXs today to devices through that. Yeah. But obviously moving forward, if they can deliver MSIX App Attach as well, that would be pretty cool.
So the challenge out to the community is to get Yandex, the Russian browser, running on CimFS on your fridge. So we'll come to this exciting stuff in a minute, and we'll lay down them gauntlets in a second, right? We'll get to that in a minute. So as you can see here, so when can we expect MSIX App Attach? We can do it today on scripts, which is great on VHD and VHDX, not on Sim. But obviously Microsoft are stated in their kind of roadmap, which everybody's sharing. I've shared it, Neil shared it, I believe, that it's going to be November time, hopefully. Can't give a definitive answer, but November looks to be the answer for now, which is great. And that means we can start, seeing this in production on WVD initially. And then hopefully this might cascade down to other technologies soon as well. I think it's been in preview forever, right? A lot of people have been waiting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have come up with some crazy ideas like scripting and things to try and make it work. So I bet they'll be very happy when it's out. So obviously going to do a bit of a mic drop there. We've got some cool stuff to talk about today. So first of all, I would like to announce that the SimUtil is basically free to all community users to test and play with some stuff. I've already loaded up SimUtil into Ryan Mangan's IT blog in GitHub. So if you want to go to the GitHub and download all the stuff for MSIX App Attach, it's for community and personal use. It's not geared for commercial. So keep away from that, as it says in the licensings, but everybody will want to play with it to understand it. Today I've uploaded Pinball and a few apps. I couldn't upload Yandex because it's too big, and GitHub wouldn't let me, so I do apologize in advance. But if you're desperate for it, I'm sure we can speak to the powers that be to try and obtain that some way. Anyway, so basically, there's some instructions how to use it. This is a sim mount and unmount. I'll upload some more apps in the due course, but if you want to download Pinball today or Putty and try it out and get it working free, and laying down the gauntlet, if you think you're that cool, you need to get a picture of us running, you mounting the sim app and running Pinball, and send it into, I don't know, should we send it into the community, Neil, or post it on Twitter? What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, put it on Twitter, just WVD Community hashtag.
Sim
hashtag, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so if you want to find out more, I'm going to blog on MSIX App Attach Deep Dive with lots of stuff on it, and I'm going to be doing a blog post on this stuff as well for you to all get involved with and download. Commercial tools, the only way today, it's in preview. I'll announce this as well. So today, AppCure in preview focus on supporting Microsoft on the launch of the WVD App Attach. We can create sims today. So if you do want to start looking at sim and delivering it, please get in touch with the AppCure guys, because obviously it'll be interesting to hear and also show you some of the cool stuff we've been working on. There we go. So obviously how it works is you've got to register so we can give you a key so that you can install it. So just basically just go on to Ryan Mangan's IT blog, and I'll put the link in as well. I'll share it with the WVD community. We just need to register and you'll get the key sent back to you to log on and use the tool. And basically what it does is it installs, obviously, the required components, which you can see there. And unfortunately it puts under ryanmangansitblog.com in the programs, but hey, it's for playing with and testing. So yeah. And as I said there, if you look into the GitHub under Ryan, RMIT blog /MSIX_app_attach, you'll see all of the stuff in there, and the apps are under CimFS apps. Everybody happy with that so far?
Yeah.
And then just another mic drop, as we'll do it today, is hopefully on the 7th of December, there will be a book being released on Amazon, which is going to talk all about MSIX App Attach, how you can deploy it and getting started, you know, in great detail. And that will cover everything you possibly need to do that. So that is all the good stuff there. What do you think?
Wow. Are you sure there's nothing more, Ryan?
Yeah, there is. So the next thing is with the book as well, which is going to be released on the 7th of December. What we're looking to do is, if the community can get back to us with all their blog posts on MSIX App Attach, it needs to be before November the 20th. Just either message me or the WVD community and kind of link up. Just send in your name, Twitter handle, and the link to the MSIX. See, I've spelled it wrong as well. MIS. It's MSIX resource, MSIX App Attach resource. We'll get your details and your information you've created in the community page of the resources book, which will be due out just before Christmas.
So people can buy, well, their wives maybe to read.
Yeah, or maybe get them to sleep so you can go and play on your computer. I don't know. There's all sorts of, so yeah, there is that as well. Yeah. Masterclass on how to run pinball and sim. So and then obviously if you do want to know any more about some of the stuff I've been doing and working with, then you know, check out my blog, which you can see on there. But yeah, cool. But that was yeah. Any more questions, guys? Because there must be some here.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the sort of performance stats come out, because obviously when people start using this in anger, it's going to be interesting to see what the difference is. Because I think didn't Ryan Mangan create a blog post on MSIX App Attach?
Yeah, I think Tim did some kind of basic metrics. Yeah, you're getting confused now. Yeah. I'm just going to pull my mask off. My name's Tim, right? So Tim's done some stuff on like the package manager and loading, which is some really good metrics, actually, initial kind of testing. So yeah, definitely check out Tim Mangan's resources as well. He's got some really cool stuff. And also one of the things that you can do as well, I'll just flip back to the tech demo screen, is you can basically do, if you go into your apps here and go to kind of like details and just do select columns, what you can do in here is you can actually see like the IO reads and writes.
Okay.
And obviously, and that will give you an indication of the apps which are very hungry. Yeah. And things like that, you know. So, you know, you can obviously kind of do lots of different things with that. But yeah, cool. So that is, that was just a kind of high level of CimFS. And obviously, there's lots more to come, obviously.
Yeah.
The biggest difference between CimFS and the VHD files are less CPU, less memory, faster mounting, and faster unmounting.
Yeah, and they can't be modified as well. So they're obviously read-only. So once they're created, they're read-only, that's it. So that's another good thing. You know, they can't be edited.
So it's not something it's going to be used for, like, example, the FS Logic profiles.
So it's not something you, well, maybe in the future, we don't know, do we? But I mean, if there is significant performance, then you never know. It might pass on to the FS Logic profiles later on. You never know, do you? I could not possibly comment, but it'd be great if they could obviously keep doing all this cool tech, right, and improving, you know, remote working and all that other good stuff. But
so we just have to wait till the pages of Microsoft has been updated with like a little bit more information about Sim and CimFS. Yeah, so hopefully that we'll get some update. I probably envisage it becoming at the end of the year. There's a lot of information already out there because obviously I've written the technology to make it work, but it's just not really out there in public domain in terms of, you know, the warts and all. But this gives you a great opportunity, guys, and community to go out and test using this tool, obviously I'm providing today, to kind of see what you think and obviously kind of provide feedback. And obviously we can also share that with Microsoft if they wish to see it as well. Hopefully it's all good, right?
Yep. Definitely. We'll definitely, we'll put all the links and stuff and we'll send the tweet out as well. Obviously when this gets published out on Sunday.
Cool. Brilliant.
Awesome.
Anything else, guys?
No, I think we're coming up to an hour. So, anything from you, Stefan?
No, but I do want to say I found it very interesting to see you showcasing this like the way you did.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward in trying it out, so I don't have to wait till Sunday. So
yeah, and there is a video as well on the MSIX App Attach deep dive, which we'll put on showing CimFS. So if you want to see the full process again for Yandex, because obviously mine failed miserably as a live blog normally does, you can watch that as well on the deep dive blog post.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for your time. It's been fascinating. I don't know where you get the time from.
No, guys, I really appreciate you inviting me to obviously have this chat today. It was been fun.
Yeah. So if anyone's got any questions, just for Ryan, just reach out to us or contact Ryan directly, and we'll share his contact details as well, and as well all the links to the stuff that he showed us tonight. So awesome. Right.
Ryan, thank you very much for your time.
Yep. If you've got anything you want to say, Ryan, closing comments?
No, thank you very much. Like I said, for obviously the opportunity, and yeah, let me know how it goes with the CimFS stuff, guys. Thank you.
Everyone can go and download Ryan's book as well. I think if you just Google WVD Quick Start, you'll find the link, right?
Yeah, it's a Microsoft link anyway, so it comes number one usually.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we'll end it there, and we'll speak to you all in a few weeks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You. Bye-bye.